A black car screeched to a violent stop beside the sidewalk. The door flew open. Two men jumped out. Before anyone on the street could understand what was happening, they grabbed the young woman walking with her backpack. "Let me go," she screamed, struggling wildly. One of them twisted her arm behind her back. "Get in the car," he growled. "I didn't do anything. Let me go." People stared. Some slowed down. But when they noticed the expensive suits and the cold expressions on the men's faces, they quickly looked away. Nobody wanted trouble. The girl fought harder. Her braids whipped across her face as she tried to pull free. "Please, somebody help me." But in seconds she was shoved into the back seat. The door slammed. The car sped away into the Seoul night. Inside the car, her heart pounded violently. "Where are you taking me?" she demanded, her voice shaking. The man sitting beside her didn't answer. Instead, he simply stared ahead. The car drove for nearly 30 minutes. Finally, the tall iron gates of a massive mansion opened slowly. The car rolled inside. Her stomach tightened. "What is this place?" she whispered. No one replied. The car stopped. The door opened again. "Get out." "I'm not going anywhere," she snapped, fear turning into anger. The man leaned closer, his voice low and dangerous. "You don't have a choice." She stepped out reluctantly. The mansion towered above her like something from a movie. Cold, silent, powerful. Her chest tightened. They led her through the front doors. Inside, the atmosphere was even worse. Armed guards stood along the walls. Everyone looked serious. Nobody smiled. Her breathing became uneven. "What is this place?" she asked again. Still no answer. They stopped in front of a large door. One of the men knocked once. From inside came a calm voice. "Bring her in." The door opened. She was pushed forward. The office was huge, and sitting behind a large desk was a man. He didn't look up immediately. He simply signed something slowly before finally raising his eyes. The moment their eyes met, the room felt colder. He looked young, but powerful. Sharp jawline, dark eyes that looked like they could read every secret in the world. He leaned back in his chair. "So," he said calmly, "this is her." One of the men nodded. "Yes, boss." Her heart skipped. "Boss." She looked at the man again. He studied her quietly, like he was analyzing something valuable. "Who are you people?" she demanded. "I didn't do anything." The man behind the desk finally stood up. He walked slowly toward her. Each step made her more nervous. When he stopped in front of her, he was much taller than she expected. His gaze didn't soften. "You are Ada," he said simply. Her eyes widened. "How do you know my name?" He ignored the question. Instead, he said something that made her blood run cold. "You were sold to me." The room went silent. For a moment, she thought she misheard him. "What did you say?" His voice remained calm. "You were sold." Her stomach dropped. "That's impossible." He tilted his head slightly. "Is it?" Anger exploded inside her. "You think this is funny?" She stepped closer. "Kidnapping people is illegal. I will go to the police." The guards shifted slightly, but the man only watched her calmly. Then he said something that made her chest tighten. "The person who sold you is already gone." Her voice cracked. "Who?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked back to his desk and picked up a file. He tossed it onto the table in front of her. "Open it." Her hands trembled as she opened the folder. Inside were photos. Her photos. Her passport. Documents. And one signature. Her breath stopped. "No." Her knees nearly gave out. "That's not possible." The signature belonged to someone she trusted more than anyone. Her uncle. The man who helped her come to Korea. The man who promised to help her start a better life. Her eyes filled with tears. "This is fake." But the mafia boss spoke quietly. "He owed money." Her head snapped up. "What?" "A lot of money." The words felt like knives. "So he sold you." Her entire world felt like it was collapsing. "You're lying." "I wish I was." She shook her head violently. "He wouldn't do that." The mafia boss watched her carefully. Then he said something unexpected. "I didn't buy you for what you think." She stared at him. "What does that mean?" But before he could answer, the office door suddenly burst open. One of the guards rushed inside. "Boss." The man's voice was urgent. "There's a problem." The mafia boss's expression darkened. "What happened?" "Someone tried to break into the security gate." Ada felt a chill run down her spine. The boss's eyes immediately moved to her. Did they see her? The guard hesitated. "Yes." The room became deadly silent. Ada frowned. "What is going on?" But nobody answered her. Instead, the boss spoke quietly. "Prepare the house." The guard nodded quickly and rushed out. Ada's heartbeat grew faster. Why are people breaking in? The mafia boss walked closer again. His expression was now much more serious. You are in danger. She let out a bitter laugh. Because of you. But he shook his head slowly. No. His voice dropped lower. They were coming for you long before I bought you. Her stomach twisted. What are you talking about? He stared directly into her eyes. They want you dead. Her breath caught in her throat. Why? But before he could answer, loud gunshots suddenly exploded outside the mansion. Ada screamed and dropped to the floor. Chaos erupted in the hallway. Guards shouted. Footsteps ran everywhere. The mafia boss grabbed her arm and pulled her up quickly. Stay close to me. Her voice trembled. What is happening? But he didn't answer. Instead, he pulled a gun from his drawer. And that was when Ada realized something terrifying. This wasn't kidnapping. This was war. And somehow, she was the reason for it. Before the story continues, take a second to support the channel. If you enjoy intense stories like this, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and comment where you're watching from. Because what happens next will shock you. And trust me, Ada's nightmare is only just beginning. Gunshots kept echoing through the mansion. Ada's ears rang as another loud bang shook the hallway. She instinctively grabbed the sleeve of the man standing beside her. What is happening? She cried. The mafia boss didn't answer immediately. His sharp eyes were fixed on the office door. More shouting came from outside. Boss! They're inside the compound. The boss grabbed Ada's wrist firmly. Stay behind me. I'm not staying anywhere, she snapped, panic flooding her voice. You dragged me into this. Another burst of gunfire cut her words short. The boss cursed under his breath. Then he pulled her toward the door. Move. They stepped into the hallway where several armed guards were already taking positions. One of them ran up to the boss. 3 cars broke through the outer gate. The guard reported quickly. At least 10 men. The boss's eyes narrowed. Who sent them? We're not sure yet. Ada's heart pounded harder. Why would anyone attack this place? She asked. No one answered her. The boss turned to one of the guards. Get her to the safe room. Ada jerked her arm away. No, I'm not going anywhere with strangers. The boss looked at her with sudden irritation. If you want to stay alive, you'll listen to me. I didn't ask you to kidnap me. Before he could respond, another explosion echoed outside. The ground vibrated slightly. Ada gasped. What was that? Grenade, one guard muttered. Her legs nearly gave out. Grenade? This couldn't be real. The boss grabbed her arm again. This way. They moved quickly down the hallway. More guards rushed past them toward the front entrance. The tension in the air was suffocating. Ada's mind raced. Why would anyone attack because of her? Nothing made sense. Suddenly, another guard ran toward them. His face was pale. Boss, they're asking for the girl. Ada froze. The girl? She whispered. The boss's grip on her arm tightened. What exactly did they say? He demanded. The guard swallowed. They said, hand over the African girl and no one dies. Ada felt the blood drain from her face. What? Her voice barely came out. The boss stared at her for a long second. Then he turned back to the guard. Tell them nothing. Yes, boss. The guard rushed away again. Ada's heart slammed against her chest. They're here for me? The boss finally answered. Yes. Her breathing became uneven. Why? He didn't respond. Instead, he opened a heavy steel door at the end of the hallway. Inside was a secure room filled with monitors. A few men were watching security footage. The screen showed armed men moving through the outer gardens. Ada covered her mouth. Oh my God. One of the men on the monitors spoke quickly. They're trying to get through the west entrance. The boss nodded once. Hold them there. Then he turned toward Ada again. Her entire body was shaking. You're going to tell me what's going on right now, she demanded. You owe me that. The boss crossed his arms. You don't remember anything? Remember what? He studied her carefully, like he was searching for something in her face. Before you came to Korea, he said slowly. Did anything strange happen? She frowned. No. But as soon as she said it, a small flicker of memory flashed in her mind. A street. Bright headlights. Someone shouting. Then darkness. She blinked rapidly. What? The boss noticed. What did you remember? Nothing, she said quickly. But he didn't look convinced. Another loud gunshot rang through the mansion. One of the security men cursed. They're pushing through the gate. The boss turned sharply toward the screens. Send the second team. Ada stepped closer to the monitors. Her stomach twisted when she saw the armed attackers clearly. They were wearing black tactical gear, and they moved like professionals, not random criminals. These men looked trained. One of them suddenly spoke into a radio. Even through the screen, Ada could see his mouth clearly. Find a girl. Her heart skipped. They really are looking for me. The boss's voice dropped. Yes. She turned to him slowly. You said they wanted me dead. He nodded. Why? For a moment, he didn't answer. Then he walked toward one of the monitors and zoomed in on the face of one attacker. Do you recognize him? Ada leaned closer. The moment she saw the man's face, something exploded inside her head. A sharp pain shot through her skull. She grabbed the table. Ah. The room spun. What's wrong? One guard asked. Images suddenly flashed through her mind. A dark warehouse. Men arguing loudly. A gun. Someone falling to the ground. And a face. The same face on the screen. Ada gasped loudly. I've seen him. Everyone in the room went silent. The Mafia boss turned slowly toward her. Where? Her hands trembled. I don't know. She pressed her fingers against her temples. But I know that face. The boss's expression changed. The cold calmness in his eyes disappeared for a moment, replaced by something darker. Are you sure? Yes. Another flash hit her mind. More shouting. A gunshot. Someone screaming. She staggered backward. Oh my God. What did you see? The boss demanded. Her voice shook. There was blood. The room felt colder. And someone died. The boss stepped closer. Who? Ada shook her head desperately. I can't remember. The pain in her head intensified. But then one more image appeared, clearer than the rest. A man lying on the ground, not moving, and standing above him. The same attacker on the screen. Ada's eyes widened in horror. He killed someone. The boss's jaw tightened. Who did he kill? Ada looked up at him. I don't know. But then she noticed something strange. The boss looked furious, not surprised, like he already suspected something. Her heart pounded again. You know something? She said slowly. His silence confirmed it. Tell me the truth, she whispered. But before he could respond, the security door burst open. A guard rushed inside, breathing heavily. Boss. They broke through the west gate. The boss grabbed his gun immediately. How many inside? 5, maybe 6. Ada's stomach dropped. Gunfire suddenly exploded again, much closer this time. They were inside the mansion now. The boss turned to one of his men. Lock this room. Then he looked at Ada. You stay here. No. But he was already walking toward the door. If they get you, we all die, he said coldly. Ada stared at him. Why? He stopped for 1 second. Then he said the words that froze everyone in the room. Because you're the only witness. Her heart stopped. Witness to what? The boss looked directly into her eyes. To my brother's murder. The room went completely silent. Ada's mind went blank. His brother? But before she could ask another question, the hallway outside erupted with even louder gunfire. And suddenly the lights inside the mansion went out. Complete darkness swallowed the room. Someone shouted. They cut the power. Ada's breathing quickened. In the darkness, she heard footsteps. But something felt wrong. Too close. Then a cold voice suddenly spoke behind her. Found her. Ada's blood ran cold. The attackers were already inside the room. And this time, there was nowhere left to run. If you're enjoying this story so far, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment because the next part is where the truth about Ada's past finally starts coming out, and it will change everything. Ada froze. The darkness inside the security room felt suffocating. Every breath she took sounded too loud in her own ears. Found her, the voice repeated calmly. A faint beam of light from a flashlight cut through the darkness. It landed directly on Ada's face. She raised her hand to shield her eyes. Her heart was pounding so hard it felt like it might explode. Behind her, one of the security men whispered nervously, "They're inside." Another flashlight switched on. Then another. 3 armed men stepped forward slowly. Black tactical suits. Guns raised. Cold eyes locked on Ada. One of them spoke into a small radio. The girl is here. Ada's legs trembled. Everything inside her screamed to run, but there was nowhere to go. One of the attackers smirked slightly. You caused us a lot of trouble tonight. Her voice shook. I don't even know who you are. The man ignored her. Instead, he raised his gun. The metal of the weapon gleamed under the flashlight. Ada's breath caught in her throat. So this is how it ends, the man said calmly. Behind Ada, one of the guards suddenly shouted, "Boss!" Before the attacker could pull the trigger, gunfire erupted from the hallway. Bang! 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 The door burst open violently. The Mafia boss stepped inside. His gun fired twice in quick succession. Two attackers collapsed instantly. The third one ducked behind a table. Move, the boss shouted. The guards inside the room quickly pushed Ada toward the back wall. Her entire body shook as more gunshots exploded around her. The remaining attacker fired wildly toward the door. Glass shattered. Monitors exploded. Sparks flew everywhere. The boss moved with terrifying precision. He kicked a chair across the floor, using it as cover. Then he fired again. The final attacker fell silent. The room returned to sudden quiet. Only the sound of Ada's heavy breathing filled the space. She slowly lowered her hands from her ears. The boss stood still for a moment, scanning the room. Then he lowered his gun. It's clear. The guards exhaled in relief. Ada's knees nearly gave out. This is insane, she whispered. The boss turned toward her. His expression was hard. You're still alive. That's what matters. Her fear quickly turned into anger. You said they wanted me dead. Yes. Why? The boss walked closer. Before he could answer, another guard rushed in. Boss, more vehicles are approaching the gate. The boss cursed under his breath. How many? 2, maybe 3. Ada's stomach dropped again. They're still coming? The boss ran a hand through his hair in frustration. They won't stop. Why? She demanded again. He looked at her carefully. Then he said quietly, because you saw something you weren't supposed to. Her chest tightened. The murder? He nodded. But I don't remember it. You will. The certainty in his voice sent chills through her. Another flash of memory suddenly hit her mind. Bright lights. Rain pouring. 2 men arguing loudly. Then a gunshot. Ada gasped. Her hand flew to her head. I remember the rain. The boss stepped closer instantly. What else? Her breathing became faster. There were 2 men. Who? I don't know. She squeezed her eyes shut. I only saw one face clearly. The man on the screen? Yes. The boss's jaw tightened. That man works for my enemy. Ada opened her eyes slowly. Enemy? He nodded. A man who has been trying to destroy my organization for years. Her voice dropped to a whisper. And I saw him kill your brother? Yes. Silence filled the room. Ada suddenly understood something terrifying. That's why you bought me. The boss didn't deny it. You were about to disappear. Her heart skipped. What do you mean? My enemy knew you saw everything. Cold fear crawled up her spine. So they tried to kill me. Yes. She stared at him in disbelief. And you bought me first. I secured you first, he corrected. Why would you protect me? His answer came without hesitation. Because you are the only witness who can prove who killed my brother. Ada's mind spun. So I'm just evidence to you. The boss didn't respond. That silence hurt more than any words. Another loud explosion shook the mansion again. The lights flickered back on briefly before stabilizing. One of the guards looked at the monitors. They're breaching the front entrance. The boss grabbed another magazine for his gun. We're running out of time. Ada's voice trembled. What happens if they capture me? He looked directly at her. They will torture you until your memory returns. Her blood ran cold. And then they'll kill you. Her legs weakened again. The boss looked toward the back hallway. We have to leave. Leave? Ada asked. Yes. But this is your mansion. They expected me to defend it. He turned toward one of his guards. Prepare the underground exit. The guard nodded quickly and ran out. Ada stared at him in shock. You're abandoning your own house. I'm protecting something more important. His eyes met hers again. You. Her breath caught. For the first time, his voice sounded different. Less cold. Almost protective. But there was no time to think about it. Another burst of gunfire echoed closer than ever. One guard shouted from the hallway. They're inside the main corridor. The boss grabbed Ada's hand suddenly. Come with me. They rushed down a narrow hallway. Ada's heart pounded wildly as alarms began blaring throughout the mansion. Red emergency lights flashed across the walls. Behind them, gunshots echoed again. The guards were fighting to slow the attackers down. They reached a heavy steel door at the end of the hall. The boss punched a code into the keypad. The door slid open slowly. A dark tunnel stretched below the mansion. Ada stared down the passage nervously. Where does this go? Somewhere safe. Safe for who? For you. She hesitated. What about your men? They know their jobs. More gunfire echoed above them. The boss stepped into the tunnel. Then he looked back at her. Are you coming? Ada's heart pounded. Just hours ago, She thought this man was her kidnapper. Now he was the only reason she was still alive. Slowly, she stepped into the tunnel. The heavy door closed behind them with a loud metallic thud. They began moving quickly through the dim passage. For several minutes, neither of them spoke. Finally, Ada broke the silence. What happens when my memory comes back? The boss didn't slow his pace. Then the war ends. And if it doesn't? He stopped walking. For a moment, the tunnel was completely silent. Then he turned to face her. His dark eyes were intense. Then this war will destroy everything. Ada felt a chill run through her body. But something else bothered her. One more thing, she said quietly. What? If your enemy wants me dead. The boss waited. Ada swallowed nervously. How did they find me tonight? The boss's expression slowly darkened. Because he had been thinking about the same question. Someone had told them. Someone close. Someone inside his own organization. There was a traitor, and whoever it was, had just started a war that neither side would walk away from alive. If you made it to the end of this story, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment part 2 now. If you want the continuation of Ada and the Korean Mafia boss story, because the next chapter will reveal the traitor, Ada's lost memory, and the shocking truth about the night of the murder.